Okay, hi everyone, I'm Amelia Newcomb, and today we're talking about how to use your reins when you ride. I had actually someone email me and ask me some questions about what does it mean when you're supposed to use your outside rein, and how do you use your reins, and all of that stuff. So I want to first talk about that when you are riding, you want to try, the goal is to do as little as possible with your rein. So ideally when you ride like a really trained Grand Prix horse, most of your aids come from your body. So your seat, your core, your upper thighs, your legs, and your reins are mainly just keeping your horse in the contact, keeping your horse in the frame, and then indicating a little bit the bend for your horse. But as you train your horse up the levels, you don't want to do so much with your reins. So think about that, that your reins are really the secondary aid to what your seat and your legs are doing. This is really hard to do because in our life, everything we do with our hands. So like when we're driving, when we're texting on our phone, when we're working on the computer, everything we do with our hands. So our brain is pretty wired to just go right to your hands, but you really need to go first to your body. So there's a few rules that I try to keep when I am using my reins. One of the biggest rules is that you don't want to cross. You don't want to neck rein your horse. So like anytime you cross, that's called an indirect rein or neck reining. But for like basic learning how to ride, your left hand stays on the left side of your horse's mane. Your right hand stays on the right side of your horse's mane, and you don't want to use your hands to cross over. Generally speaking, if you feel like your hand needs to come across the neck, you need to use that leg. So like if I'm feeling like my horse won't turn and I'm going to start doing this with my rein, I need to take my rein back to here and then follow through with this with my thigh. The other thing to consider when you use your rein aids is you always want to start small and try not to pull backwards. So I always start, there's 1, 2, 3 of how you use your rein aids. So 1 is just your fingers, squeezing your fingers to move the bit a little. 2 would be bending your wrist to get a reaction, and then 3 is coming back with your elbow. But ideally you're just moving your fingers on your reins, and your hands are kind of staying up here about hip width apart and in front of the saddle. So let me show you that while I'm walking around here. So let's talk about, so say I'm going around here. So what am I doing with my reins here at the walk? I'm just kind of following the horse's motion. The horse has kind of a nodding motion of their head. And so I'm just keeping a light contact. I'm following that motion. Now, if I want to turn my horse, my inside rein a little bit indicates, and then my outside rein gives little half halts to turn her outside shoulder. So it's important when you use your rein aids that you use them within the rhythm of the gait. So if I'm walking here and I want to turn right, I flex with my right fingers now, and then my left rein turns the left front now. So I use my rein aids in coordination with her footfalls. So it's right rein, and then left rein brings the left front around. So again, it's a little flexion with my right wrist, right rein, and then left rein brings the left front around. Now if I want to turn left, again, I'm a little bit flexing with my left, and then my right rein brings the shoulders around. So like I said earlier though, it's not just my reins. More important than my reins to get her to turn is my leg. So I'm a little bit flexing left, but then my right leg and my right rein are turning her right shoulder around. So let me go up to trot, show you a little bit also in trot. So in trot, here's one thing that's really important to consider is that your hands are not bouncing up and down. So if you're in rising trot, your elbows are a little bit bending and straightening so that my hands stay still. And same thing as I'm going around here, she's in a pretty good frame. Like she doesn't need to be rounder. I'm happy with this for kind of a working trot. So my reins really aren't doing a lot. I'm trying to just use my legs to guide her, and my reins are just kind of keeping her in this nice frame. Good girl. So I hope that's helpful. Again, you know, with your rein aids, it's all kind of a coordination between your inside and your outside rein, but most importantly is trying to make the corrections first with your seat and your legs, second with your reins. The end.